Meanwhile, at Manage Comics, coming to you from a secret underground lair, these dedicated heroes discuss the business of comics, industry news, comic book retail issues, and the latest developments from Manage Comics. They are promoters of comics, champions of small business, and four-color heroes. They are the Manage Comics team.
Hey folks, welcome. It is Thursday, November 2nd, 2023, and I'm Brian, and this is, I don't need these headphones, the Manage Comics Rebirth. I was actually listening to all the music as it was playing, and I forgot to take them off. It's funny, because as I was sitting there listening to that great introduction, I realized that that's the old introduction that has my voiceover, and I actually have a way better new introduction that I'll have to get. So, yeah, welcome. I see a ton of friendly faces and a ton of people that I've never seen before as well. So it's great to see everyone. Yeah, I am a super scroll, and that's what we're going to find out. Let's just jump right into it because it's going to be a fun day. And I want to, you know me, I like trying to keep things tight under an hour, but we've got two exciting presentations that are going to be like 5 minutes and 15, 20 minutes. I literally just finished editing things 30 minutes ago. So we will see how it goes. And I'm sure as I watch it, I'm going to cringe and say, "Ooh, I forgot to edit that little piece out." Well, yesterday was our 8th birthday. 8 years old. We're still a baby. We launched all new comics on November 1st, 2015. So we did 2 months of beta testing before that. I think we probably had everything ready to go in September of 2015. But then we did a couple months of beta testing with some all new comics users. We did 2 years of tweaks with just one store before we finally launched. And we launched to all of our other stores in January 2017. Um, Gosh, I think the first store we had was called Uncanny Comics out of Florida. They unfortunately closed about 2 years later. And then there was AJ's Comics they were in oh, the home of ESPN, Connecticut. So they were in Connecticut and they just closed kind of last year. Pete, the owner, retired and sold the business to another person. So yeah, they were with us for quite some time. But yeah, we still got, I think, 32 stores on Managed Comics Classic. Variety of reasons for those stores to be on Classic still. There's still some Managed Comics 2 stuff that we need to complete in order to get those folks off. We kept on doing development until probably mid to late 2020. We haven't really done a lot of development since then on Classic. But in 2020, when we reassessed everything, the industry changed. We had multi distributors. We had to quickly pivot and help stores get online to stay open. We quickly built a data store to simplify our data because we had three distributors. If you'll remember, there was Diamond, and then we had UCS and Lunar came on board. So we had to be able to kind of merge all that data together because even then, the UK still had Diamond, and we were trying to figure out kind of how to keep everything together. So yeah, we added all that stuff to Classic and then started thinking about the future. And we decided to work with Shopify due to its open API and robust marketplace. And if you think back to 2020, Shopify was a shell of what it is today. They had literally just announced their point of sale, and it was pretty terrible at the beginning. It was basically just kind of a box. Like it was an iOS thing, and it didn't really do a lot. But they had such a robust marketplace, and nobody else that was doing e-commerce at the time had a marketplace like that. So we launched Managed Comics 2 subscriptions, and it was probably one of the most frustrating things of my life. It took us close to 2 months of back and forth with Shopify to get a whole bunch of things approved. Um, their app approval process at the time was very, very stringent. It's a lot less stringent now, but it's still really tough to get through the app approval process. And if you have your own point of sale, as we'll talk about later, um, you won't get approved. So, and they do constant approval checks on us. Like we get emails all the time saying, you have to change this in your setup documentation because we've noticed that this has changed. So, yeah, when we launched in January 22, we had already been kind of beta testing since August of that year with a few stores. We added in that first year cloning, emails, more distributors, better imports. There was just so much. And then we added the order helper a year ago in October of 2022. And there's been just literally a butt ton of improvements in just over 2 years. But let's talk about what Managed Comics is today. And to do that, I've prepared a little video that's going to go through. So we are Managed Comics, and Managed Comics, we say, is a better way to sell comics. We're built on one of the most popular e-commerce solutions on the internet, Shopify. We're the only comic subscription solution that's available within the Shopify App Store. We are simple subscription management. We offer an easy to use interface for your customers and intuitive retailer tools that just make sense. Let's talk about Bob's Comics. So Bob's Comics is our new kind of demo store that we've built. Bob has a busy store, but managing comics and subscriptions are easy for Bob, thanks to Manage Comics. Now, Bob has a Shopify website and he uses the Shopify point of sale at the register. Bob's efficient, he's successful, and Bob looks good because of Manage Comics. For Bob, check-ins and ordering are a breeze. You always know what you're going to get with Manage Comics. You can check in with any distributor's invoice. You can create initial orders and FOCs for any distributor. Bob's customers also love Manage Comics. Bob used to manually update every single customer list by hand. With Manage Comics, customers manage their own list. Bob gets notified when his customer adds something to their list, and he can update his orders quickly. Bob's customers stay on his website. Bob is building equity in his own brand, not another company's brand. That's because Manage Comics is built right into Bob's website. Bob owns all of his customers' information because they're part of his Shopify site. Bob's stock is synchronized in real time between online and offline thanks to the connection between Shopify's web and Shopify's point of sale. Transformers #1 on his website links directly to the subscribe to series page. And you can say goodbye to data hassles with Manage Comics because Manage Comics handles all the product data so you don't have to. Data is uploaded multiple times per week, and you can add hundreds of new comics every week in seconds. Don't believe us? Over 180 stores are using Manage Comics. Manage Comics is loved by both retailers and customers. Manage Comics customers will buy more comics through you. And Manage Comics has more than a dozen 5-star reviews on the Shopify App Store. Reviews like, I was very hesitant to move my site into Shopify so I could start using Manage Comics. But now that it's all done, I can tell you I cannot imagine going back. Almost instantly, I saw customers add more books to their subscriptions, and weekly tasks have become much quicker to accomplish. That's from Robert Quinn of Hill City Comics. Lee Heidel of Neighborhood Comics, meanwhile, says, Manage Comics makes our job as comic book retailers easier. Full stop. Its integration with Shopify means that we can have a best-of-breed e-commerce experience and empower existing and new customers to manage their subscriptions themselves. Brian and his team are responsive, courteous, and dedicated to the platform and the direct market. Highly recommended. How do we get such great rankings? Ludicrous levels of help. Everything we do is documented in easy to understand plain language. Our help site will guide you through the hardest problems. However, Manage Comics is simple and just makes sense. You can see our help files online at help.managecomics.com. Or if you get stuck, just email help@managecomics.com and we answer quickly. The Manage Comics community is also there to help you. The Manage Comics community is where store owners help each other with challenges. Questions about Manage Comics, retail challenges, even surprises within the distributor listings and the product listings are all handled within our Facebook community. We also believe in radical transparency. We build our system with our shop owners. We regularly survey our store owners. We adjust our roadmaps according to what's important to stores, and we add important features for new markets. You can see our change logs, our roadmap, and our feature requests all online at roadmap.managecomics.com. We also are firmly committed to helping make the data better for the entire industry. We work with distributors, publishers, and retailers. Stores will alert us when problems arise. We inform distributors when data is bad. We're constantly working on making our own data better. And we also co lead the data formats and standards group in the Comics Pro Metadata Initiative. How do you get started? It's real simple. If you already have a Shopify store, just go to apps and search for Manage Comics subscriptions. You'll find it. It's built right into Shopify. It integrates with the Shopify online store, and it takes less than 8 minutes to install. That's going to do it for our quick introduction to Manage Comics. If you have more questions about Manage Comics, check out info.managecomics today, or check out our videos on YouTube at youtube.com/managecomics. And I hope to see you in the funny pages. That was just too cheesy. I can't believe I actually said that, and I apologize to everyone involved. Okay, so yeah, that's a little bit about what Manage Comics is. We've revamped everything. So we have a new website which will be launching later tonight. I was going to launch it today, but I just want to give it one last pass over. We've refreshed it with new branding. We're focused on the perfect comic shop download. And Craig, my business partner, has done these cute little hand drawn elements that you'll see everywhere. You know what? Why don't we talk a little bit to Craig about what he did? Um, I'm also going to say you guys can ask questions about Manage Comics in the chat, and we will answer them live. Like this question: does Order Helper work with Binder Pause or only Shopify POS? Unfortunately, the Order Helper will only work with the Shopify point of sale. We had been trying to work with Binder Pause for 2 years on getting an endpoint from them, but we were unequivocally told recently that that will not be happening. So, unfortunately, we work as much with Binder Pause as we can. I would love to integrate more with Binder Pause, but it's not part of their roadmap, and it's not, a priority for them anymore since the new ownership has taken over. It is what it is. But yeah, I would happily work with them. In the meantime, why don't we listen to Craig and I talking about what went into this whole reboot? And by the way, it's not just some pretty pictures. There's a whole lot going on behind the scenes that we're going to talk about today as well. Hey there, it's Brian, and I want to talk to you a little bit about our new branding and what's kind of gone into it. And here to join me in this great branding conversation is my partner, Craig Oliphant. Craig, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Let's chat a little bit about the things that we've done with our branding and our visuals. So starting back in 2015, when I first started this, the original thing I launched, I literally grabbed some clip art of a domino mask, which is like Zorro's mask. And then I made a example shop, and I used this like little robot for the example shop, and I loved him. He was just clip art that I had like bought from somewhere. In 2020, when all of the badness happened in comics, I remember you and I sat down. So it would have been March, just as the pandemic was going on, and you were saying, I think this might be a big deal. I think you told me like in December, I think this might be a big deal. You said something interesting to me at one point where it was like, we were really heavily focused on marketing for other companies. And you were like, what if we treated ourselves like a client? So instead of us making a bunch of money for somebody else, we would actually focus that same effort on making our own product profitable. So that's what we did. And we decided one of the things we were going to do is revamp our product and like rebuild it. So we started kind of fooling around with little white robot guys that were more Apple inspired, more like i iPod inspired. And that's when we settled on the little guy that became our Managed Comics mascot. We were going for something professional and polished. What was the idea behind this thing?
I think we just wanted to, we wanted to minimalize a little bit.
Yeah.
We wanted to stay corporate, but also try friendly. So like the cloud motif, the bright button, we slimmed down the number of pages and in words. So, and we really wanted to look like professional business, which we are, but I mean, have the sort of the storefront look that we're much bigger than maybe we are.
I think originally we had like 6 different designs of the robot guy, and we kind of made a few extras, but there's only so much you can do with this guy. He's so stiff.
So it seems like we're sort of like edging towards a faceless organization instead of what we actually are, which is really customer facing.
Yeah.
Like you can actually don't do this, but you can actually call Brian up.
Oh, God.
You can do it. You should do it. You can actually call him up. So, and he knows and understands the industry. Like you could talk stores or you could even talk comic books. But like when you look at the website, you just did not get that sort of feel.
So yeah, we wanted to kind of get that across. And the other thing is, answering tickets all day long isn't particularly satisfying. At best, you're going to get 0 tickets, but at worst, you have 115, currently 116 tickets in some state of requiring an answer. Most of them, probably 80% of them, just require me to close them because people have responded with, "Hey, thanks." And so doing something fun was kind of part of this.
Well, that was the other thing I said to you. It's a little bit like we can do anything we want. And on one hand, like, that's like a little bit frightening because, you can fail in many number of ways, but
Yeah,
also we we're not, we're not forced to stick within branding guidelines,
that's true.
like comic books are meant to be fun. But like when you look at our brand, the brand was fun ish. The website was fun-ish, but I don't really get the sense that we were having fun working on it or making it or working even within the business. And so I even brought to you some examples, and it was like, okay, so these guys, when you look at it, it's like you guys care about what you do. You care about your product. And I can tell just by looking at it. Everything is painstakingly crafted. You put a lot of effort even into small little things. And so um yeah, it's like some that part of it was kind of missing a little bit from what we did.
You designed this little guy around, I'm wearing him right now, around Comics Pro last year, like around that time. And it changed things from like designed to hand built, which is what we are, right? Like everything we do is hand built. Everything's simple. Like our key concept with Managed Comics is simplicity and fun. Like you said, comics should be fun. So we took that and we kind of rebranded everything. Hand drawn characters and elements, easy to follow pathways, simplicity, and making our product make sense. And this was kind of your brainchild, the whole perfect comic store setup. Tell me a little bit about what this means.
Yeah, so I mean, like you live in the comics industry and manage comics, so you know the ins and outs, but me, a little bit of an outsider, I'm like, how does it actually work? Right? How does a good and I'd ask you these questions. How does a good comic store, what does their setup look like? What's kind of the standard way of doing things? And so I wanted to map this out. And then at the same time, I wanted to do it in a way that was fun and interesting. So we built that drawing by just taking a look at all of the different ways that not just a store, interfaces with different systems and interfaces with sort of customers, no matter where they are, but also how Managed Comics sort of integrates with each step of it. And then we built it to be interesting and engaging for someone just to glance at and look at. It's fun stuff. It's all hand drawn. So I went in and just drew all of it, all those little guys you see, all the trees, all the little things. And then around it, we wrapped around it just sort of what a successful comic store looks like in terms of their back end, how they set up, and that whole thing. So yeah, that's what that is.
We built Bob's Comics out of this too, and Bob's Comics kind of started as like just a little picture, and then as I looked at it, we kind of incorporated the logo into all the other pictures, so that every time that like a customer is interacting with Bob's Comics, their Bob's Comics logo is there somewhere. Because with Manage Comics, we present your branding. It's not about the Manage Comics brand, it's about your branding. So, for example, we rebuilt our long box of comics kind of demo store to be Bob's Comics. And so this all looks like Bob's Comics. And my favorite thing that you said after this was done was like, man, that's just a good looking comic shop. And what's funny is like any Shopify website could look this good in maybe an hour if you're like not great at Shopify, but this probably took me 15 minutes. The way that Shopify does their branding and everything, all I had to do is change my overall brand colors and then go through and like change them on some different pages. And it took very, very little time to get everything like up and running. Okay, even our subscription pages look so great and took very little effort to make them look this great. Yeah, man, I love Shopify. Like I don't want to be a shill for Shopify, but it's like compared to where it was a year ago to where it is now, like it's night and day. It's changed so much, and like the visual changes and the ability to make your site look super slick. This is also a free theme. Like this is the kind of theme that a year ago I would have paid $350 for, but this is their base Dawn theme with like some pretty colors and stuff slapped onto it. Yeah, it's man, it's so good, you know? So yeah, that led us to like the whole story about Bob and Bob's Comics and Bob using Shopify, putting his customers in control of their subscriptions, the different places where customers interact with Manage Comics. So like at the park, the guy is updating his subscriptions. At home, another dude's updating their subscriptions. There's a guy in the line who's buying something off the Shopify store before he walks in, which is literally a use case that we hear about all the time where, you know, a customer will reserve something so that they can come in and get it. We also want to focus a lot more on the things that we're doing behind the scenes. So how we're helping distributors improve their data, what we do to communicate with publishers, because we actually talk to several of the publishers when things are bad, and how we're communicating all these changes to the retailers. So the things that kind of went into it, Craig, you hand drew all these little dudes.
I think what you're going to see across the website and maybe across social and everything else we do is, you know, along these lines. So we're talking like, you know, even the logo, it's hand drawn. It looks like we sat down and made it. Yep, there's some of Brian's versions.
We just kind of will throw back and forth little drawings of guys too. Like I did this guy last week, and they don't take long. It's a, you know, he's a simple little dude, so you can crank one out in 10, 15 minutes.
I also had the idea that he would talk with emojis, so you can see some of them there.
I love that.
Yeah, and then we went with the bright colors, so we just did away completely with any of the elements that were, you know, sort of corporate-y and non-fun. So you'll see these bright blues and greens and everything across, you know, the website and all the things we do. And I think it now is a good representation maybe of what Managed Comics is and where we're going. So you can go on the website and download this guy. It's fun. I hand drew it. I don't know how many hours it took, but a lot. Brian did all the words and the bubbles and everything. But also there's a bunch of Easter eggs in there. So hidden little fun things that you can find. I don't know how many, but there's a lot.
No, when we were going through it earlier, I just realized as I'm looking at it that there's like 5 that I didn't account for. So when we were talking, I said there's probably 15. There's probably closer to 20.
Yeah, there's more. There's maybe even more.
we've updated our website. It will continue to evolve as we add some more of the new photos. We've got new emails and templates. So you should be seeing the new emails out now. You've seen the video template out. So that stuff is all
That's
out
Brian.
there.
That's you, by the way, on the right
It
with
is.
the dog.
That's me. Me hanging out with Geek Fetch and Subscribotron. We're also going to be sending more emails. So we're getting back to monthly emails. We'll talk about what we've talked about recently, what we've worked on. We're getting into a point where we're going to be working on a lot more big projects. So there's a little bit less to talk about, which is why I'm going to do fewer videos. The videos are going to be focused more around like what we've released and how we explain it. And then I'm going to continue. I want to get back to a weekly cadence on podcasts, and our podcasts may not be, 45 minutes. They could be 15, 20 minutes. And they're just going to talk about what we're working on or data issues or things that are in the news. I want them to be a little more informal and fun. And I'm always surprised when people say, "Hey, I listened to your podcast," and blah, blah, blah. It's just a quick little thing that we don't want to be a huge commitment. And then regular social media posts. We've got our Instagram, our Twitters, or X, or whatever you call it, and Facebook. Plus, of course, the community. And I've refreshed the community with kind of the new branding already. And we're going to really focus on showcasing Shopify as a strength. And this is, I think, one of the big things that puts us against all the competition and is a serious differentiator. Our unique value is that we are the only Shopify solution right now. Shopify is a $100 billion company. They are evolving their platform at a light speed pace, like so fast. We're going to focus on the benefits of Shopify. It's a modern solution. They've got a point of sale. Their point of sale is improving drastically. They have huge plans for that point of sale. And they're plans that I haven't heard anybody else kind of tackling. I think you should go download Craig's Perfect Comic Store setup right now. Just go click on managecomics.com and click that download.
If you have a second, let us know if you can find all the Easter eggs.
Yeah. Send us an email, help@managecomics.com with all the Easter eggs you've found.
There's a couple that maybe no one will find.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah.
Well, there's a couple of them that I know you were surprised that I could figure out
That is
because
true.
they're so kind of obscure, but yeah, they're there. Yeah. Craig, thanks so much for going through this stuff with me. And we'll see everybody else on the Manage Comics journey.
Take care.
All right, friend. All right. We are. Yeah. So we talked about all that stuff. Check out the Manage Comics journey. So you can go to Manage Comics right now and click on the little link there to the cute little downloady thing, and you'll get our journey guide that just shows you kind of all the stuff that's in that picture. The picture that I'm wearing right now, actually, it's a t-shirt as well. And it has links to a lot of our help stuff as well. So if you're just new to Manage Comics, it's a good place to start things out. But that's missing the word what. What have we been doing at Manage Comics lately? Well, we had our first meeting of the Manage Comics Illuminati. The Illuminati is not actually a shadowy group of people. It's actually a group of real human beings who represent 5 different owners and markets and philosophies. We've got BD Cosmos in Laval, Quebec. We have Books with Pictures in Eugene, Oregon. We have Challengers Comics and Conversations in Chicago, Illinois. Infinity Flux in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and Neighborhood Comics in Savannah, Georgia. And so we get together once every 3 months and we talk about the future, what they need, what we need to do more of. I'm always very active in the Managed Comics community as well. But this is a really great way to get kind of hands-on input. And as we start building new features, these are the folks that are going to get them kind of bounced off of first. So I've gone through all of the things that I'm about to tell you with them 2 weeks ago, and just kind of verified that this is stuff that they want. One of the things that we're going to be talking about really excited some folks. And what's great is not every single person in that group has the same business model. Challengers is as different from Infinity Flux as BD Cosmos is from Books with Pictures. Books with Pictures is very different than Neighborhood Comics. They all kind of have a few similar traits, like they all sell new comics, for example, but every one of them does it in a very different way. The other thing that has taken up so much time is the Comet Data Standard, which is a new data standard that we have created in conjunction with publishers, distributors, and uh, retailers, um, POS companies, software developers. It's been such a huge undertaking of so many folks. There were I know our two groups had around 20 people participating in them. That's just for data formats and data standards, which sounds super exciting. But it was really cool. And we had our last meeting today. So we've actually kind of formalized a standard, and now Django Boren from Comics Place in Bellingham, Washington, and Comic Shop Assistant uh, is helping me write the final kind of draft of the data format and data standard stuff, and then we'll bring that in with everyone else. Really inspiring what happened. It is the first time, to my knowledge, that the entire industry has had a formal metadata workflow categorization standard for the comics industry that was actually created by the comics industry in a collaborative, consultative manner rather than by fiat or dictation. So previously, distributors would just say, "This is what you get." And this was a case where we worked with everyone to make this happen. And I'm so super proud of it. I'm so proud of what we've accomplished, and I'm excited for kind of the next steps. So, what are the next steps? February 2024, Comics Pro at the Comics Pro event in Pittsburgh, I think it is this year. They will be formally announcing and rolling this thing out. We'll have more details before then. We're working on finalizing the white paper. We'll finish writing the paper because our part is such a huge component of it. I think we'll be able to be 80% done fairly quickly, and then we'll send it out for review with all the stakeholders. We'll launch it. Um, People will adopt it, we'll revise it, and we're going to continuously improve it. This is a living document that will change over time. And yeah, it's super cool to be part of this, and to have worked with so many companies: Marvel, DC, Diamond, Lunar, Penguin Random House. Just absolutely, just so great. It's so great. You don't see competitors working together like that very often. So it was really inspiring. Let's talk about the future of Managed Comics. So as you saw, we are revamping our branding. Our goal is to hit 200 stores by the end of this year. We're growing slowly. We were growing at about 5 or 6 stores a month. It's kind of scaled back a little bit. One big problem we've seen is in the last 6 months, we've lost a lot of stores. Just stores are straight up closing, and it's heartbreaking, right? Because when I see a store leave us, I go and creep them on Facebook and creep them on Instagram, and like 9 times out of 10, they're gone. Their Facebook is no longer active. When you look them up on Google, it says permanently closed. Like that breaks my heart more than losing a customer. I hate to see comic stores close. Um, but new stores are opening up all the time. And what's interesting is new stores tend to want technology solutions. And we're a fairly easy to implement technology solution that gets them running quickly. We have 153. It's actually 154. I just noticed as I was looking 10 minutes ago. 154 Managed Comics 2 stores. We have 32 Managed Comics Classic stores, and our goal is 300 stores. What happens when we hit 300 stores? Big plans, big celebrations. That's not the end though. When we hit 300 stores, our next goal will be 500. When we hit 500, our goal will be 1,000. But it's kind of bigger than just 300 stores. We think that we're the best solution out there, and that's why we want to hit 300 stores. Um, we're working right now on international orders, initial and FOC orders for Universal and Diamond UK. It has meant a massive revamp to our database. We have to now geolocate distributors within our GeekFetch database. We also have to change our publisher settings based on geographic region. Initial orders and FOCs for new distributors will have to be created, and updates to certain code to prevent distributor overrides from happening. So, for example, introducing Diamond UK DC information doesn't sound that scary, except that information gets updated on initial order and never again. So often their FOC information and stuff is off quite a bit. Um, and that can cascade down and infect our lunar data. So we have to do a really good job of you know, isolating each distributor's information. Not something we've ever really had to think about before because an FOC was an FOC. Uh, with Diamond and Penguin Random House, sometimes we had to tweak them by a day, but a day is not like a month or 2 months. Um, r- right after that, we are working on changes to how Managed Comics installs and renders. The Shopify API, the version that we're using, is end of life as of January. So we have to change. They've changed basically, like they call it the app block usage. We have to change the way that we integrate. So right now, we kind of write custom code into our system. We won't do that anymore. We will actually use the thing called an app block, which means that you could actually put Managed Comics in different pages. Um, and we will have an app block for like your homepage, for example, so that you could have your catalog listing on the homepage. There's also going to be an install wizard that will make the process of installing Managed Comics easier. And we're going to leverage some of the brand settings within Shopify to assign colors and stuff like that. We will also be implementing comment metadata data in our system. We have already kind of started doing some of this stuff, and by that I mean like we've started isolating distributor data from what we consider core or publisher data. So we've already started some of this stuff, and we'll be doing a lot more of it. And the reason that we have to do the API change is so that we can have access to Shopify's reserved items. This is going to solve so many problems for us, including order helper issues, issues with creating orders, um, reducing API calls during check-in, speeding up the POS order helper, improving our own internal logging so that we know what's happening. As you can see here, this is a fairly new field. And so if you look at the little image there, it shows that we can actually reserve other uh, unavailable inventory. So this inventory then becomes unavailable for purchase. But what's super cool is you can still use unavailable inventory in a draft order. So you can actually create a draft order and send that draft order to a customer and use that unavailable inventory to fulfill it. And then that unavailable inventory becomes committed, and it goes through the whole life cycle of regular product, which is super exciting. We need to do that in order to address a lot of kind of future stuff as well. So reserved items is one of those things that was kind of a holy grail that just puts so many puzzle pieces in place for us. It's also going to allow us to do some updates to the POS order helper, which will take advantage of some of those efficiencies, moving products to and from the order helper faster, being more reliable, having more features. And also duplicate products. So what's really interesting about Shopify products that I just found out fairly recently is if you, let's say that you add a variant to a product, it changes the Shopify ID for that product. When that Shopify ID changes, Managed Comics loses the connection to that product. So if you have a product and you add a second variant to it, let's say you have a product and you add a 9.6 variant to it, suddenly that's a totally different product and Managed Comics has no idea it exists. So the next time that you import Transformers, it's going to add a whole new copy of Transformers. We have to fundamentally change how we're tracking things. So we're going to track them at the barcode level. And we're going to have to do a nightly update to make sure that barcode SKUs are tracked within Managed Comics better. So yeah, those are all things we've got to do in order to get to multi-store. Multi-store allows more than one location on an account. It's one of our most requested features from new stores. It also allows us to select locations to import. So when you're importing a product, you could import it to different locations. We've got 3 different ways that you can do a multi-store. There's kind of isolated locations. There's a hybrid where you have one input and then you kind of federate all the content, the stuff out to the other stores. And then the third one is where each store gets treated entirely differently, has its own um, diamond accounts and everything. And, each piece of it is different. So it's a lot more complicated than what we kind of initially intended. I've written a massive spec for multi-store, and it's crazy how uh, how complicated it is. One of the big features of multi-store is that we'll have a reduced cost for new physical locations, so we won't be charging a full $80 per location each additional location, and we're going to look at it might be 2 locations are included in the first, and then you pay for each over 2. It really depends on how complicated all of this stuff ends up being because we have to maintain it, and it's the maintenance that is the part that kind of kills any software development. More reporting. This is one of the things that came out of Illuminati that people want better reporting. We want to be able to track sales after the fact better and sorting between return products and sales. So if somebody kicks something back out of their subs list, track that a little differently than we do when you just remove something from a list for another reason. Um, Improving our initial order and FOC orders with sales data. We already have our order history. Getting that a little better integrated into the initial order and FOCs. And to do that, we may honestly have to start. So we don't actually bring a whole bunch of data into Managed Comics where we can avoid it, but we may have to start storing a little more data so that we can do those things quicker. Because the other thing is we got to keep these pages fast. We could do anything. It's just it might take like 5 minutes for a page to render, and we don't want that to happen. Lightspeed integration has been pushed way back, basically because Lightspeed is so much more complicated than I had hoped. Lightspeed X is relatively straightforward. It has a direct path to Shopify. Lightspeed R is really, really complex. And my Lightspeed X account got disabled for some reason. So we have to do a lot of integration with Lightspeed to figure out why in the heck my Lightspeed account has been disabled. And I've got a contact there. It's just this is super hard. So yeah, it's been pushed back to after multi-store because multi-store is super urgent. Pre-order prepayments is something that we've heard a lot about. It's a big need in the industry. I think it's getting bigger. There's systems out there like recharging global pre-orders, but they lack some of the necessary features that you need. Our core kind of things are you must be able to apply payments to an incoming product before it arrives and then actually zero it out when it arrives. We need to be able to track paid items and notified if an item is canceled. So from the distributor, we don't have a good way of canceling an item that has been canceled at the distributor. If I pay for a hardcover and that hardcover gets canceled, then there has to be a way to get that credit back to me. We have to be able to credit the accounts when the item's canceled, also credit back the credit card when an item is canceled. And most importantly, because I don't want to go to jail, we have to respect the state and international rules around prepayments. And these vary state to state and they vary country to country. The most egregious one I can think of is like some countries and I think some states say that if you are reserving something, you can't have it fully prepaid for more than 60 days in advance. So we got to be super careful about that, and we're going to have to geo fence some of these features to specific locations. We are going to work on revamping the front end pages. This has been on my list for ages. I really want to improve and streamline the subscription lists. As a Managed Comics customer who actually gets his comics from LA Moods here in London, Ontario, um, this page is the bane of my existence some days when I'm on my phone and I'm looking for something. And I'd really like to make this better selfishly, but also, we have 132, 152 stores. Each store has a minimum of 100 customers. So we've got, what's that, 15,000 customers. So as important as it is to address our 150 stores, we also have to be respectful for the 15,000 customers who actually use those stores. Um, Adding more customization for an individual store to the main Managed Comics page. So I want to be able to allow you to select which distributors you want to showcase, and hide distributors, but still have their products available for search and everything. Allow better featuring of monthly and FOC content, and present more of a store's picks within Managed Comics. So if you want to highlight Transformers this month and Void Rivals and I've got Skybound on the brain right now. Ultimate Comics #1. You want to highlight those things. You should be able to do that somehow within Managed Comics. And finally, our BHAG. That stands for Big Hairy Actionable Goal. I think the A was X-rated actually. It's a back issue module. So it's a ambitious undertaking. It is about as large as Managed Comics itself was originally. It's a massive product catalog of every comic ever made. We have the catalog. We have to do some massaging to the data. We also want to build want lists, a buy and sell um, ability, so a store can actually offer to buy something, can also sell that thing, have in-store credit, rewards. On the store side, suggested buy and sell pricing, hot lists, stock alerts, barcode generators, and a smart way to get products into Shopify quickly and efficiently without triggering any of their, 1,000 products a day um, triggers. Because you could have 10, 100,000 products sitting in your back issue catalogs, and they're you're not going to be able to get 100,000 products into Shopify in a reasonable amount of time. So we've got some ideas on how to kind of keep that stuff separate from your overall inventory, but still make it searchable, super robust. Yeah, it's kind of our hairiest, biggest goal, and I would like to have all of our catalog available to the world as well, so that Detective Comics 1027, you'd be able to find all the stores that actually have that, and you can go to the individual stores and purchase your comics and stuff like that. That part is not nearly as important to me as making sure that we've got this massive database. If we make it available on a front end for users who can create want lists and stuff like that, one of the big benefits of that would be that we could open source that actual data and let them edit it as well. So I think it'd be super great to be able to have kind of build our own data catalog over time. One more thing, and if you got questions, now's the time to get them, because I'm gonna answer this one more thing. It's just Managed Comics now. It's no longer Managed Comics 2.0 subscriptions. In Shopify, it will be Managed Comics subscriptions. I have to do some finessing to the name before I can release it. But yeah, we're going to call the old one Managed Comics Classic. And by the end of 2024, we are going to officially shut down Managed Comics Classic. I am confident it can make it through a year. I'm not entirely confident that it can go on indefinitely. It's long in the tooth. There's, security things that we probably need to really hone in on. It's fine for now, but by the end of 2024, we will have complete feature parity with any features that are missing from Classic and be ready to move on. So yeah, that's our big plans. That's our big reboot. Our reboot is not only it's not just, the graphical stuff that we've changed. It's a massive revamp of kind of everything. And it starts with the comet stuff and it ends with, a whole new version of Managed Comics that will be the big hairy goal of 2024. Yeah, so that's it. Anybody have any questions? I see a couple things. At one point, somebody said early on, Galactic Quest asked, PRH doesn't post the invoice in time when months roll over. So when a Wednesday is on the first, is there a workaround in Managed Comics to manually enter the books like normal to pull? So you could always check things in manually, one at a time. You could use a CSV, but more importantly, you can also use the Penguin Random House pre-delivery reports on weekly like this. We got an email or we got a message that said tries to use the pre-delivery report, but nothing populated. That's odd because it worked for most folks. So I'd be curious to see what was on yours that looked differently. Yeah, so that's PDR reports. Nightmare the other day about what we would do if Managed Comics closed. Oh, we'll, we won't close. Yeah, and Galactic Quest is looking forward to getting their second store active. I feel like Michael Morden from Time Travelers was talking about Lightspeed when he was sad. And Christina said great projects on the horizon. Yeah, we're really excited about everything. And I think, it's going to be a good year. I'm really excited about kind of wrapping up the stuff from this year. Michael was talking about Lightspeed. Yeah. So, Michael, if you're on X, it's a much easier project than if you're on R. Um, if I can get my X system running, then maybe we can do more stuff with X. Yeah, I can't develop for a system that I can't access, and unfortunately, I've not been able to access it. After Managed Comics Classic shuts down, we have to sign up for Shopify to use the current Managed Comics. So the current Managed Comics is a Shopify only solution. Dan, I think you're on Lightspeed R. Hopefully, between now and then, Lightspeed will have a path to X because I think you'd be happier on X as well. But yeah, we could definitely get you. So X and comes with Shopify, so you'd have a Shopify site anyway. Planet says we delivered. You know what? I may have lost it in the shuffle of all the tickets I was working on this week. I apologize, and I'll take a better look at it. Christina says when checking in books, I have had problems with advanced reader copies. Thank you. Issues not saving when I fill in. So just learned about that recently. I think the fix is in QA. I'm positive the fix is in QA actually. I think I just have to get it approved. And it literally just got in QA. This is one of those things that's super hard for me to like replicate because every time somebody would send me something, it would now be in the database. But I think what was happening was if you saved it, it gets saved to the database, but it didn't know that it had been saved to the database, so it rejected it for your current invoice. So we yeah, bug. If a user tries to create a product that doesn't exist, if it does not exist in our database, it cannot be created. So yeah, it's in QA right now, and I just have to review it, and it should be live this week. Awesome. You guys are very responsive, and it's appreciative. Yeah, this is one of those ones that I haven't been able to figure out up until now, but we figured it out just a couple of weeks ago and got it resolved. And there's just so much stuff in QA right now that I have to go through and do one final pass on before we promote it all. We promoted a bunch of stuff on the weekend, and I was so busy with all the other stuff going on that I actually forgot to send out a release on what we produce. Yeah, I think it was like, I'll have to take a look. There's 4 things that we put out this weekend, and I forgot to write a thing. Comic Culture says, "Good afternoon. Any news on a customer-facing weekly polls view?" Not exactly right now. I know what you're looking for. We do have so there's the weekly list of everything that's available. I think what you're looking for is like what was pulled by that store. Yeah, we'll look at that. And Christina also said the problem with ratios not showing as ratios on Marvel books still a problem from their info entry. Yes. One of the problems with any data, especially from Marvel, is that we update the data twice a week. So if we overwrite that data with the proper info, when we update the data, it gets overwritten again. So that's one of the unfortunate things about the way that we're updating stuff all the time is that it if the publishers are consistently wrong about it, it doesn't get updated. But we are working with the publishers and the distributors to fix their data, and they've been really good and like understanding what the needs are and why they need to change their stuff. So yeah, it's frustrating, especially when I pay a dude to fix the data and he fixes it, and then 3 days later it gets unfixed because it's terrible. Uh, Owen asked, "Does Comet have a ratio variant field built in?" Yes, it does. Um, for sure. Comic Culture asked, "More like a filter on my subscription tab to show the books that I've subscribed to coming out that week." Oh, I see what you're saying. So for you as a subscriber, yeah, I've got a whole ton of stuff that I want to do on the my subscriptions page, and that's definitely one of the things. How does everyone track incentive orders, or is there some on the approvals page where I can see if I've already committed 125 before approving the next? That's a great question. We don't have that right now, but that's definitely something, that's a great thing to go to roadmap.managecomics.com and request as a feature. And then people can vote on the features, and we can definitely add that kind of thing in the future. I think that would be really cool to be able to say, hey, you've already committed to 125. Now you need to order 23 more copies in order to commit to this 1 in 25. Any other questions from anyone? I think that's going to do it this week. That was a long one. This one, 1 hour and 1 minute. Good to see you. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, everyone. And like always, keep managing those. One of these days, I'm going to come up with a better closing thing than keep managing. But for now, that's what you get. You get keep managing those comics. We'll see you next time.